see that Christianity ain't for a black man. In 1619, they brought us here on slave ships, baptized us and turned us into Christians.
Shalom, shalom. How's everybody doing out there today on this wonderful Sabbath? I thank everybody for tuning in. But first and foremost, we want to give all praise, all honor, all glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. That's the Father, and the name of the Son. The Father's name is Yahweh, okay? And the Son's name is Yahweh Shai. All right. So, what we want to do today is, you see my shirt, it says Israelites. We want to find out who we are. Who are we? That's the title of this lesson. Who are we? We're not black. Black is a color. You can't go back to the land of black. There is no landmass called black. You know, every other nation can go back to their landmass they came from, right? Well, there's no landmass named black. What about African American? Those are two white men, Leo Scipius Africanus and Marcos Vespucci. Okay, so you're two continents or two white men? No, that was a term that was made up. So what we need to find out today is, who are we? So we're going to use the scriptures, okay, and a couple other books, and we're going to find out, you know, who actually are we? How did we get to this land? All this is in the Bible, okay? It's the Holy Bible, the King James Version. We're going to get into it. It's going to be a real short lesson. I mean, I'm going to try to keep it short, but the more I started writing down information, man, I got a lot of scriptures, and there's still really probably not enough to do this lesson. So let's go ahead and get into it. Who are we? Now, I'm talking about the so-called American blacks and across the Caribbean islands, all right? Some still in Africa, the west coast of Africa, and the Native Americans, okay, we're going to bring that out too, that were here in this land, and also the so-called Hispanics of indigenous descent, okay? So, let's get the Bible dictionary. You know, we always do pretty much Bible dictionary. Now, let's look up the word ham, okay? Because some history teachers teach that all dark races come from Ham. And that's just not true. Okay? You had Ham, Shem, and Japhet. Those are Noah's sons. Ham, Shem, and Japhet. All right? And let's get it out of the Bible dictionary. And it says Ham. This is talking about Ham, because unpopular belief says that all the dark races come from Ham. It says Ham, the youngest son of Noah, youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races. See that? Ham became the progenitor of the dark races. Then it says, not the Negroes. See, that's a key word right there. Not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. Okay, and you can read on down, but it says not the Negroes. Now, all those for sale signs back in slavery time, it said Negroes for sale, right? That's what it said. It didn't say Africans. It said Negroes for sale. Go do your history, look it up. It always said Negroes for sale. And there's a reason for that. So this is a so-called white man's book. He wrote it. I mean, you know, it's a dictionary for the Bible, but it's his book. So he's telling the truth. All right, in that instance. So you had Ham, Shem, and Japhet. Those are Noah's sons. Okay, so we are of Shem, and you got to go in the Bible and follow the patriarch Eber. Okay, so now let's go to Genesis chapter 25. We're gonna start from the beginning. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Those are the 3 patriarchs. Abraham then was passed to Isaac, and then to Jacob. and in Jacob thy seed shall be called. Genesis chapter 25. Everybody with me? Everybody got the Bibles? Let's go to it. And we're going to start at verse 22. And by the way, if you haven't read all this right here, if you new coming into the truth or new doing some Bible study, hey, you need to read all this. Okay, you need to read it. All right. So verse 22, Genesis chapter 25. This is talking about the birth of Esau and Jacob. Okay, it's very key to what's going on today. It said, and Rebekah was Isaac's wife. Okay, and she had twins in the womb. Okay, and she said, and the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? Because the children are struggling within her. And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb. 2 nations, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. 2 manner of people, okay? And the one people shall be stronger than the other. So you have to catch this. One of the people coming out of Rebekah is going to be stronger than the other. And the elder shall serve the younger. Okay? The elder shall serve the younger. Then it goes, verse 24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment. Now I'm going to ask you, on this earth today, who looks like that? They got all the hair on them. And they're not white. They're actually red. Who looks like that? Then it says, and they call his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel. Now that's key. That's a signification. So the younger brother took hold of the older brother, Esau's heel, coming out of the womb. Ain't that something? And his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. All right, now, I'm going to pause right here for a second. And we're going to go to 2nd Negros in the Apocrypha, chapter 6. If you don't have an Apocrypha, get with me. I'll get you one. It's good history in here. It is in the Bible. Just not the Bible's making today. It was taken out. And there's a reason for that. That's a whole other lesson. All right, so 2nd Negros chapter 6, verse 9, it says, for Esau, you know, he came out red, is the end of the world. You hear me? And Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So when he grabbed his heel, Esau is the end of the world, and then here comes Jacob after. That's key, because what I'm going over here, all it will make sense. Now, some of the stuff I can't get into because I'll be here I can make 3, 4, 5 lessons out of all this. I'm serious. It's a lot of scriptures, a lot of understanding to go through. But he held his heel, and Esau's the end of the world. So who's running the world today? The so-called red man or white man. Well, this kingdom's about to fall. And then Jacob's kingdom, he had 12 sons. The Israelites, God's chosen people, their kingdom is next. So that's another lesson. So anyway, let's read on down to verse 27. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter. Okay, who likes to hunt? Put the camouflage on, go over to Africa and killing all these animals for no reason, just to kill them. Endangered species. Who likes to do that? It says, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man. See, now Jacob, they didn't say what color he was because he was like everybody else, dark skinned. Everybody in that time was dark skinned until Esau came. All right. It says Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. And then if you read on down, it talks about how Isaac loved Esau because he ate his venison, which is the meat from that he went hunting with. And it tells you about how Esau sold his birthright to Jacob. The elders had the birthright, he sold to Jacob, which is the younger. Okay? So if you want to look at it, the white guy sold his birthright to the black guy. If you want to look at it that way. Now, Esau didn't care nothing about it. He should have, but he didn't. So you got to catch what's going on here, because it all ties to today. It all ties to today. So then it read on down to verse 34. It says, Esau despised his birthright. He ain't care nothing about it. He should have cared about it, though. All right, now, we got to get some other key scriptures. Let's go to Genesis chapter 27. Genesis chapter 27. All right, so what's going on here is Jacob and Esau's mother is going to trick Isaac because he's blind. He's got too much longer to live, and he's going to put fake hair and stuff on Jacob, and he's going to send him in there to get a blessing. Now Isaac was a man of the Lord. He was a prophet and everything. I mean, he was a man of the Lord. It'll tell you all that, and he was giving out the blessings when he passed. Those are his kids. Okay, so Jacob got the blessing. He tricked himself. His mother helped him. Now, I didn't write it. The Most High God allowed it. Okay? So when Esau came in, he was mad. So let's read some of this, okay? Let me see. All right, here we go. Verse 22. Chapter 27. Let's start at verse 22, and we're going to read some more down, okay? Okay, it says, and Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him, and he said, the voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are of Esau. See, so they tricked him. Now, let's go on down to verse 28. This is when Isaac is giving out the blessing. It says, therefore the Most High give thee the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Now see this. Are you hearing this? Let people serve thee. Let people serve thee. All right? Because all this is future prophecy in the prophetic to come in the end. Because remember, didn't Jacob hold Esau's heel? And the scripture said what? That I read in 2nd Ezra. It says his kingdom's gonna follow. Okay, we'll get to that. All right, so let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesses thee. Can it say, and it came to pass, as soon as Isaac made an end of blessing Jacob, then here comes Esau in. He came in from hunting. So he didn't know none of that stuff happened. And he was crying. But remember now, he sold the birthright already. He didn't. Y'all got to understand this. Okay, so now let's go down to verse 38. And you got to read all of it yourself. So now Esau's crying and everything. He's upset that Jacob got the blessing. All right, but he's going to get a blessing too. So, and Esau said unto his father, this verse 38, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Question mark. Bless me, even me also, O my father? And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. He cried. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. Now, the fatness of the earth. Who went to the whole earth and set up colonies? Who did that? Okay. The fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven from above, and by thy sword thou shalt live. By thy sword, even in modern day sword, the gun or weaponry, who lives by that? Who went to every land with this weaponry? And are you getting the picture? These people are not white, they are red. Okay, get the picture. It said, and by thy sword thou shalt live and shalt serve thy brother. See, this ain't happened yet. Right now we serving him because the Israelites are in captivity across the whole earth. Right here, he's telling him what's going to happen. And shalt serve thy brother. That has not happened yet. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have dominion. See, he rules the whole earth right now. The so-called white man, or white people, whatever, red man, they rule the whole earth. And they shall have dominion, that shall break his yoke from off thy neck. So, verse 41, now this is the whole ticket right here. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing whereof the father blessed him. So you can read on down, okay? And you read on down, you'll see that same thing, Esau hating Jacob, is the same thing that's going on today. It all goes all the way back to Genesis. Some of you might not want to believe it, but it's true. What's going on today is blood. It's all blood. Bloodlines. We go all the way back to Jacob. Okay? And they go all the way back to Esau. They still like to hunt today. They still love their guns. I mean, do I need to go on and on? All right. So we got that clear, right? Because we're trying to find out who we are, right? Okay. So now, after this, we know that Jacob had 12 sons, all right? And one of the sons was sold into slavery, and he became viceroy of Egypt. And all the brothers, because Jacob had 12 sons, all the families went to Egypt, and they multiplied and grew. And there was a pharaoh that Joseph didn't know, right? And they put the Israelites in slavery, all right? So those people are in slavery. That's where we're at right now. All right, they all went to Egypt. And then we know the Most High God sent Moses to free them out of Egypt. Everybody knows that story, right? Everybody knows that story. Okay. Now, let's go to Judges chapter 2. Judges chapter 2. Judges chapter 2, and we're going to start at verse 1. Judges chapter 2, verse 1. An angel of the Lord, you see that, came up from Gilgad to Bochim and said, I made you go up out of Egypt and have brought you unto the land which I swore unto your fathers, and I said, I will never break my covenant with you. You see that? The angel of the Lord, so God spoke and said, he will never break his covenant with us. What is that covenant? Man, I could be on this stuff for a long time. The covenant he made with the children of Israel in the wilderness, right? So some people might not know. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. We're going to touch on a little bit. If they kept the commandments, all the stuff that he told him that they was going to do in the wilderness. It says, and thou shalt come to pass, this is verse 28 of Deuteronomy, and it shall come to pass if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God to observe and do all his commandments. See, we didn't do that. We went off. But if we did, which I command thee this day, that the Lord God will set thee high above all nations on the face of the earth. That's if we kept the covenant. That's if we did everything he said do. But what did he say here? Where am I at? Uh-oh. Let me go back. He said, I will never break my covenant with you. So the covenant still stands. That blood in, blood out covenant he made with the children of Israel in the wilderness. And guess what? It goes to their kids and generation to generation. It don't stop. Just that we kept breaking the commandments and he kept sending us into captivity. Now we don't know who we are. So anyway, it says again that he was going to set us high above all nations on the face of the earth. Because the 12 tribes of Israel is a nation of his own. Okay? And all these blessings that come on thee and overtake thee. And you can read on down to verse 15. You'll see that we blessed beyond everything. I mean, oh man. You got to read it. But then if you go to verse 15 to 68, that's what happened when we get to it. All right. Let's go back to Judges chapter 2. It says, I will never break my covenant with you, and you shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land. You shall throw down their altars, but ye have not obeyed my voice. Why have you done this? See, God's saying we not listening to him. We not doing what he said do. Wherefore I also said, I will not drive them out before you. Talking about the other nations that when they go into the land, he said, he ain't going to drive them out because remember, they didn't kill them all. Like, he was killing all. Y'all got to read it. Before you, but they shall be as thorns in your sides, and their God shall be a snare unto you. Now, that's where we at today. All these other nations are what? They are thorns in our sides, and their God shall be a snare. See, their God is white Jesus. Their God is Islam. Their God is Hinduism. Their God is, you can name on Ashtaroth. Their God is Molech. Oh, there's a lot of gods, and a lot of them are in the scriptures. So people say, oh, there's only one God. There's only one true and living God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But they're all the gods, but they're idols. Okay, so I want to bring that out. All right. And let's go to Judges chapter 2, verse 20. Judges chapter 2, verse 20. And it says, and the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel. And he said, because that his people have transgressed my covenant, remember they made that blood in, blood out covenant, which I commanded their fathers, and have not hearkened to my voice. I also will not henceforth drive out any from before them of the nations which Joshua left when he died, that through them I may prove Israel. Okay. I want you to get that. Prove Israel, whether they will keep the way of the Lord to walk therein as their fathers did keep it or not. Then it goes, chapter 3. Now these are the nations which the Lord left to prove Israel by them, even as many of Israel had not known all the wars of Canaan. All right, so let's jump to verse 4, and it says, and they were to prove Israel by them, to know whether they would hearken unto the commandments of the Lord, which he commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses. So, these nations are to prove us. They are to whip our butts, put us in captivity, do all this stuff to us to make us turn back to the Most High God. But we don't want to do it. We love it here in America. When we at the bottom. Some of us, I say it's us, but some of us people that are Israelites, like I'll say all the celebrities and all, some of them got some clout and everything, but the majority of our people are at the bottom in the ghettos and in the slums. And now I'm just not talking about America now. What about Africa and the Native Americans? What about all of them living in slums and See, we can't just think about the people over here. The majority of our people are abroad. All right. Where I'm at. So these other nations are going to do the Most High God's bidding and do what needs to be done to try to get us to turn back to Him. All right, now let's go to 2 Kings. Now we're going to get into some stuff that it's a little deep for some people, but I got to go through it. All right, I got to go through it so you kind of get the full picture of who are we and understanding this Bible. 2 Kings chapter 17 and verse 2. Everybody there? I don't want to go too fast, but I got to go over this. Now, you got 5 or 6 captivities of the Israelites, if I count Egypt as one. Okay? Then you got the Assyrian captivity, Babylonian captivity, Persians and Medes, the Greeks, and the Romans, which is the modern day captivity we're in today, which basically is the Romans. Okay? And when Christ was on the scene, it was the Roman captivity. Okay? So now we're going to bring it all together and kind of show you how it came about per se. All right, we in 2 Kings chapter 17 verse 2. It said, and he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. It's talking about the king of Judah, okay? It says, Hoshea the son of Elah to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. It said, and he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, but not as the kings of Israel that were before him. Against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria. See, this is the Assyrian captivity. And Hosea became his servant. That king Hosea became his servant and gave him presents. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hosea, for he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Okay, so let's get down to verse 5. Because it says he put that king Hosea in prison. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. You see that? In the 9th year of Hosea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and in the harbor by the river Gazan and in the cities of the Medes. So, the king of Assyria took Samaria, Samaria was an Israelite city, okay? And carried Israel away into Assyria. So, Israel is the name that the Bible uses as the northern kingdom, okay? Because the kingdom split. Now, I should have kind of got them scriptures, but some kind of way I must have missed it. But so the northern kingdom, which is Israel, okay, they were carried away into Assyria. All right, a whole nother land. They were not there in the land when Christ was there, and they was been gone. All right, so let's go to verse 23 of chapter 17. Verse 23 of chapter 17, 2 Kings. Until the Lord removed Israel out of his sight, see that? As he had said by all his servants and the prophets, so was Israel carried away out of their own land into Assyria unto this day. Okay, so you got that. Until this day. All right. Now let's go to 2 Kings chapter 25 and verse 21. Now this is the southern kingdom, and it's called Judah. Judah was the head tribe of the southern kingdom. And I'm going to get some more scripts and you're going to see. So, verse 21 of 2 Kings chapter 25, And the king of Babylon smote them. Now this is the Babylonian captivity. You had the Assyrians, then the Babylonians. And the king of Babylon smote them and slew them at Ribliah in the land of Hamath. So Judah was carried away out of their land. You see that? That's just one precept. There's others too. So for breaking God's commandments, this is what happened. He let other people come in and take them out. Now you knew that when the Most High God was with them, when they was doing what they're supposed to be doing, couldn't no nation stand up to them. That's all in the Bible. All right, everybody knows that, right? Okay, so we got that. Now let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 29. Got a lot of scriptures down here. I'm trying to make sure I go in order. Deuteronomy chapter 29 and 28. This is another precept, okay? All right. Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 28. And the Lord rooted them out of their land in anger. See, the Most High God was hot. And in wrath. And in great indignation. And cast them into another land as it is this day. Okay? That's just another precept showing that he got them out of their land for breaking his commandments. Now let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 13. Now some are Israelites. But if you've done some history, well, I can't really say if you've done some history because a lot of history's been suppressed. I'm gonna put on the screen a place called Israel Hill. All right, and I'm gonna let you read it, and you'll see that the people that brought over here, it says on it's a sign. I think it's Virginia, I think it is, and I want you to read it or go to it and read it for yourself, and you'll see that it talks about the people being Israelites. Also, there's a church in Charleston, I believe it is. I think it's Charleston, maybe Savannah, but I think it's Charleston, where on the pews of the church it has Semitic writing. Hebrew writing, okay, on the pews of the church. All right, I went and saw it with my own eyes. Okay, there are things here, and there's a New Mexico called the Los Lonos Stone. It has a version of the Ten Commandments written in Paleo Hebrew, and it's dated way before Columbus and all of them got over here. I mean, there's some stuff out here, but you got to know where to find. You got to know where to look. So we're gonna read how the Native Americans got over here and tie it to the scriptures, which these are scriptures, but some people don't believe. All right. 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse 40. It says, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanassar, king of Assyria, you see that, king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so became they into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. So they went to a land that nobody ever supposed to live there before. That they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land, and they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river, for the Most High then showed signs for them. See that? The Most High showed signs for them, and hell stilled the flood till they were passed over. See, God was with them. All this is prophetic. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely a year and a half. Now, where do you go that takes a year and a half to get there? That had to be a long way away. And the same region is called Asareth. Now, if you look that up, it's supposed to mean America. Now, I've looked it up. Some say it is, some say it ain't, but that's this land here. Verse 46, then they dwelt there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come. Okay, so this is the main scripture how we know that those people are our brothers and sisters. All right, whether you want to believe it or not, they're going through the same curses. Okay? And when a lot of the old pictures, you know, the old Indians, they actually were dark color, dark skin, until the so-called white man mixed with them. Okay? And they had the $5 Indians, whatever. And you know, some of their clothing, they wear them little fringe things, that come out the scriptures. Those fringes, like, you know, that they had to kind of just cut, that's scriptural. And they go around saying, Aya, Haya, Haya, Haya. That's God's name. Well, some people say it is. It means I am that I am. That's in the scriptures. So they keep a lot of the same feast days. I mean, I'm going to get into it, but they are, from what we believe, Israelites. And how they got over here is in this book here. See, that's why they took a lot of this stuff out. They don't want you to know. Okay, where are we at? Let's go to, remember you had the Assyrian captivity. I already showed that. The Babylonian captivity, I just showed that, how the southern kingdom went into captivity by the Babylonians. All right. Then you had the Persians and Medes. Now, I'm not going to get deep into the Persians and Medes at all, but the Persians and Medes, and then in the book of Ezra, we're going to get that. You know, the king let them come back and build a temple again. All right, that's in the book of Ezra. So let's go there. Ezra chapter 1. So remember now, the southern kingdom are still in that land and that landmass over there. The northern kingdoms are gone to a whole nother, you see what I'm saying? All right, so Ezra chapter 1, where am I at? And 5. Ezra chapter 1, verse 5. Then rose up the chief of the fathers of Judah, that's one tribe, Benjamin, that's two tribes, and the priests and the Levites. Now, of course, the priests are the Levites. The Levites are the priests. That's three tribes. With all them whose spirit the Most High have raised, go up to build the house of the Lord which is in Jerusalem. So, King Cyrus let them go back and build a temple in Jerusalem. And, of course, they were there, all right, when Christ was there. The other tribes were gone. Is everybody getting that? All right. Now we got to go to the Greek captivity. The Greek captivity is not in your regular Bible today. Of course, it was in the regular Bible, the King James Version, 1611, but it was taken out. And it is in here. And Christ also mentions the Feast of Dedication in the Bible, but it really talks about it in here. It is the Greek captivity, and it is in the Maccabees. We were all called Greeks. We're made to be called Greeks. Let me see what scriptures I'm going to get. All right. I'll just get a few scriptures. First Maccabees chapter 1, we'll start at verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. You see that? That's just like America. You want everybody to be Americans. Shalaklia. And everyone should leave his laws, talking about the Israelites, see? Because other countries, they ain't worried about no laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites, see that, consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. We doing that today. For the king has sent letters by messengers into Jerusalem and the cities of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land. Now let's go to verse 48. That they should also lead their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end that they might forget the law, which we did, and change all the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, she said, should die. So that's what happened. These are the Greeks, or what in the Bible that you read called Gentiles in the flesh, or like we are in America today. We don't know that we're Israel because when you grow up and okay, when Kunta Kinte came over here, if you saw Roots, they beat it out of him. Your name is what? Change the names, everything. How long did it take for him not to know that he was actually from Africa or wherever? It's the same with us, and we're gonna get it. So let me get some history for you in First Maccabees, because this is what happened. It says, First Maccabees chapter 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, and had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes. See, the Persians and Medes kept rulership before the Greeks. Remember? Babylonians, Assyrians, Babylonians, Persians, Medes, Greeks, Romans. Okay. So Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in the stead, the first over Greece. Now, this is talking about Alexander the Great. Okay? And it went through the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch the earth was quiet before him. So he conquered the whole earth, Alexander the Great. And people say, oh, this ain't part of the Bible. Well, I'll tell you what. This is probably why you don't know who you are. You don't have the whole Bible. All right. So now we went to the Greek captivity. All right. Now, I want to get some of Deuteronomy chapter 28. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 28. You got to get some of these curses so you can see. Deuteronomy chapter 28. And I already read verse 1 to you. How we're going to be blessed above all nations on the face of the earth, right? We was going to be above all nations on the face of the earth, right? Well, verse 15 says, if we don't listen to the Most High God, to observe to do all his commandments and the statutes that I command this day, that all these curses that come upon thee and overtake thee. So that's where we're at right now. We're in a cursed condition. In verse 15 to verse 68 are all the curses, and they all apply to us, our people, put it that way. See, the Most High God, he deals with nations of people. There were some prophets that were, I'm sure, were righteous men, but they got carried into captivity too. You think all them people that was thrown aboard, put in slavery and thrown aboard to the sharks and all this, they weren't some good people? The Most High God's not playing. And guess what? If you don't get right and do what he said do, you're going to find out he ain't playing. All right, so verse 15 said, if you don't do what I'm going to do, all these curses will come upon you. Verse 43. Let me see where I'm at. The stranger that is within you shall get up very high, and thou shalt come down very low. When you go in our communities, all the other nations, Chinese, Arabs, they got own all the stores. Only store we own is what? Barbershop, beauty salon. Pretty much. So that prophecy is true. Moses prophesied of all this. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the tail, and he shall be the head, you shall be the tail. All right. Verse 46. And they shall be upon thee, talking about the curses, upon thee for a sign and a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. All right. Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, and for the abundance of all things. Verse 48. Therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which we doing, which the Lord shall send against thee. See, I'm going to read it again. Which the Lord shall send against thee. In hunger, if we need food, who we got to go to? And in want of all things, and in thirst, if we need water, got to pay water bill, who we paying? Our enemies. And in nakedness, we need clothes in our back. Everything we want, we got to go to our enemies. Then it says, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And that actually happened in slavery. See, now our minds destroyed. We don't even know who we are. Okay? So the chains come off. Verse 54. So that the man is tender and delicate among you, his eye shall be evil toward his brother. That's gang violence. And toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Don't a lot of the so-called black men leave their kids and the wife or the baby mama? Verse 64. I can read all of them, and all of them apply to us. We're skipping over. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even to the other. And thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. So we scattered to all four corners of the earth before breaking his commandments. And we serving other gods and don't even know it. Right now they're about to serve another god, Satan, okay, celebrating Christmas. And the scriptures in Jeremiah say don't do it. Don't bring that tree in your house. But we're going to do it. People are going to do it. But then the thing is, they don't know what they're doing. But right here, it's all in the scriptures telling you what to do and what not to do. Okay, verse 68. This actually happened. And the Lord shall bring thee to bring his people, us the Israelites, into Egypt again with ships. What nation on the face of the earth has brought slaves on ships to other lands? What nation? It wasn't them Jews over there in the land today. There's no documentation saying that they went anywhere as slaves on ships. Yeah, they got some gold Holocaust thing, but that wasn't on no ships. Moses prophesied this to happen thousands of years, and guess what? It happened. And when it says Egypt again, that word Egypt means bondage or slavery. So, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again, bondage or slavery again, because they walked out of Egypt, right? You don't need no boat to get from, you don't. It said, that's why it says with ships. By the way thereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. It's talking about our homeland Jerusalem. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen, slave men, and bondwomen, slave women, and no man shall redeem you. So now, who is this talking about? Moses prophesied of this happening. And it happened to our forefathers, which trickles on down to us. So let's see what Christ said. Let's go to Luke chapter 21. Christ prophesied it happening too. See, it's all in the Bible. But your pastor will never bring this stuff out, because we were taught a religion called Christianity, and it's not in the Bible. We were taught a white Jesus doctrine. But it's time to wake up. That's why I'm doing these videos. I want my people to wake up. Come back to who you are. Come back to your God. Yes, the Bible said he's our God and none else. All right, let's go to Luke 21, verse 70 AD. This is all red. Christ prophesied this to happen. All right, it's red right. I mean, it's Christ speaking. Okay, so in 70 AD, the Romans tore up Jerusalem, and the Israelites fled, and they killed thousands and thousands of them. Okay, they destroyed the whole land, and guess what? They've been over there ever since. All right, so I'm gonna start at verse. I'll tell you what. I'm just gonna read verse 24. Sake of time. It says, "And they shall fall by the edge of the sword," talking about the Israelites, "and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles," talking about the Romans, "until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled," which has not happened, not over with yet. Their time has not been fulfilled. All right, so that's why when you watch the Olympics, you see quote unquote black people in every land, every nation, because God did it. It's all about the Bible. Okay? Let's go to, now, when he said, let me read this verse 21. Them which are in Judea, that's the Israelite city, flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out. Let not them that are in the countries enter into. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. So all this is already written. The whole Bible is already written, and we just playing the part. Okay? And this had to come to pass. Right? So, this is where they fled. West coast of Africa. Alright? This is the old map. It's hard to get. Right here says Negro land. They settled settled down here. Right here it says slave coast, and it says kingdom of Judah. All right, which Judah is the head tribe of the southern kingdom. So Africans sold Israelites into slavery. Africans did not sell Africans. Africans sold the Israelites to the white man into slavery. And that's in the Bible too, in Joel. Okay, but we're not going to get that because trying to get through. All right, Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 4. So through slavery, for not doing what God said and do, we're going through the curses, right? Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 4. Everybody with me? You're not falling asleep, are you? Because man, I'm just skimming through this quick. I can do 3-4 lessons on this. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee. So he's saying you're going to discontinue from your heritage, who you actually are, that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. Really, if you believe it or not, we still really serving our enemies. We paying them everything. I mean, I'm paying for this house. I'm paying for the house three times before I pay it off. All this is wicked. Y'all know what it is. Car insurance. Don't get me started on all this. Cable fees. Everything you do to giving somebody money. But guess who that is? Your enemies. See, God didn't call them friends. So, serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. See, the Most High God's mad at us because we won't keep his commandments. We won't do what he asks us to do. I won't even say asks us to do. We signed a contract. A blood in, blood out contract with the Most High God, the living God of heaven and earth. Moses sprinkled blood on the people, a blood in, blood out contract, and we broke it. If you signed a contract with somebody and would you be mad? Okay. I didn't write it. All right. Let's see where I'm at. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 1. Isaiah chapter 1. Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 3. Isaiah chapter 1 verse 3. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. So the ox, a dumb ox, know who his owner is, and the donkey, which it says, ass, his master's crib. And now you see where they got the word crib from. All right, it's in the Bible. But Israel doth not know. My people doth not consider. Verse 4, sinful nation. See, we are a sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel to anger. They are gone away backward. I don't want to read no more. But it's true. Our women twerking, stripping, dressing all tight pants, booty twerking. I mean, our men dressed looking. I mean, he, she's. I don't even want to get into it. But the Most High God's mad with us. And so, with that being said, we don't know who we are. But I'm telling you who you are. All right. Through the spirit and the power of the Most High. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. The scriptures. All right. Let's go to Hosea chapter 4 and verse 6. A lot of people know the scripture. Hosea chapter 4 verse 6. Now everything I'm reading to you is true. It's out the Bible. It's prophetic. And it's happening today, or it didn't happen, however you want to put it, or slice it. Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And I did a lesson about the knowledge. Okay, that knowledge is the laws. You'll see. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. So he's going to reject, he's rejecting us. We think we saved, we think we, okay. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing that thou hast forgotten the law of thy God. Then it says, I'm going to read it again. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Because we're supposed to be a nation of kings and priests, according to the scriptures. Seeing that thou hast forgotten the law of thy God. It says thy, our God. I will also forget thy children. And you can read on down, and he's telling it. All these prophets, they give it to us. Meaning they tearing this up about all how sinful we are, how and it's true. As soon as Moses got them out of Egypt, they murmuring and everything. Oh, brought us out here to die. No, that's us. All right. All right. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit, okay? Hopefully by now you can kind of get the picture of who you are. If you need a little more clarity, send me an email. All right? If you need more help with some things, apocrypha, stuff like that, I can help you. All right? How did I get all this teaching and learning? Well, that's a long story. But I get all this teaching and learning in less than a few years. Okay? Because once you wake up, the Most High God wakes you up and you start keeping His commandments, this book, it opens up to you. Your eyes are open. You're not blind anymore. You see it, it's amazing. It's like it's a spiritual thing, really. Okay, now I'm not saying all the brothers they got some kind of secret power or something like that. No, I'm just saying you understand the scriptures, but you got to start keeping the commandments because that's what the Bible said. All right, keeping the Sabbath day, the dietary law, so keeping the feast days, doing what the law, first 5 books of Moses say do. Okay, so we're going to switch gears and we're going to see if the Old Covenant or Old Testament is the same as the New Testament. Because some people say, oh, it's different. No, it ain't. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 31. Jeremiah 31. And let's see what I want. All right, you can read the whole chapter of Jeremiah 31 because it's real good. And chapter 30. All right? Because it talks about the restoration of Israel in chapter 30. All right? So let's get 31 and 31. This is the new covenant. It's the prophecy of the new covenant. In the Old Testament, one of the prophets called Jeremiah. Jeremiah 31:31. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant, catch that, with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Now, we just went over, the house of Israel is the northern kingdom. They were kicked out of the land, remember? They were gone. And with the house of Judah. The house of Judah was kicked out of their land, but they came back, right? They came back, and then we got Christ on the scene, and then the Romans came in, right? Okay, so, but they all were kicked out the land because, we came down, when the Romans kicked them out, we all scattered. So, it says, I will make the new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers by the day I took them out of the hand, lead them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break. Although I was a husband unto them, saith the Lord. But this shall be the covenant I will make the house of Israel after those days. And that's it, after those days. And then it says the house of Israel. This is said one, because they're going to be one nation. After those days, saith the Lord, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for they shall all know me. This is when Christ come back. Everybody's going to know him then. It says, they also know me from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith the Lord. I will forgive their iniquity and remember their sin no more. All right. Now this is the prophecy of the new covenant. Now let's go to Hebrews chapter 8. In the New Testament, Hebrews chapter 8. And we're going to see if this sounds the same. All right. Let's start at verse 8. Everybody with me? Everybody still with me? Y'all ain't asleep, right? Hebrews chapter 8, verse 8. We're going to start at verse 8. For finding fault with them, he said, Behold, the days come, said the Lord, I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. Oh. Why don't it say the whole world? Why don't it say the Gentiles? What? It's the same thing. It's the same covenant. Talking about the same thing from the front of the book to the back of the book. The same people. Not according to the covenant I made with their fathers on the day I took them out of the hand and lead them out of the hand in Egypt. Because they changed not my covenant, I regard them not, said the Lord, for this is the covenant I made with the house of Israel after those days. It's the same thing. And I will be to them a people, and they shall be to me a God, and they shall not teach every man his neighbor, knowing the Lord, for also know me from least to greatest. I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities I remember no more. And that he saith, a new covenant that he hath made the first old, now that which decayeth and waxeth old is ready to vanish away. Is ready to vanish away. It didn't say it's vanished away. Is ready to vanish away. You got to get that. We are entered into the new covenant because Christ came on the scene. But we're not totally into the new covenant because we still, where's it at? I will put my laws in their minds. So you know all the laws? 613 laws, you know all of them. If you don't, then you're in the new covenant. I will write them in their hearts. And I will be to them a God, and they shall be them people. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord. So you don't got to go to church no more. Because you're supposed to what? You're supposed to know the Lord and not teach no more. So somebody's been lying to us, right? Tell me. Tell me. Somebody's been lying to us, right? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Somebody's been lying to us. And you got some research to do. You got to find out the truth. All right, now, when it says with Judah and with Israel, and we're going to see what Christ's going to do. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 37. All is in the prophets. Ezekiel chapter 37. Show you something. We are almost about done. I got to get all this so you get a kind of brief history of us. Ezekiel chapter 37. And you need to read chapter 36 because it is good. It's talking about what he's going to do to us. All right, so he's going to give us a new heart, a new spirit. He's going to sprinkle clean water upon us. He's going to clean us up. All right, now let's talk about the parable of the two sticks. It's Ezekiel chapter 37. And we're going to start at, let's see. Let's start at verse 15. Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 15. The word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Moreover, son of man. Now, these prophets The Most High God spoke to these prophets, and he said, write this stuff in the book. That's the Most High God told them to do. These are prophecies that God spoke to his people. He didn't use anybody. He used righteous men of the Lord. Meaning they were doing his will. Doing what he said do. And he used certain ones to speak to the people. Verse 15. The word of the Lord came again to me, saying, Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write it for Judah, southern kingdom, and for the children of Israel, his companions. Then take thee another stick. Well, I don't have a stick, but and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim. Ephraim was the head tribe of the northern kingdom. All right, sometimes it says Israel, but Ephraim was the head tribe of the northern kingdom. Judah was the head tribe of the southern kingdom. All right, so for Joseph, take the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions, and join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand. See that? And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, Wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these? Say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel his fellows, and will put them in with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand. And the sticks wherein thou writest shall be in thine hand before their eyes. Let me see. It's going down. Verse 22. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel. See, there were two kingdoms. Now he's going to make them one nation again, like they were from the beginning. All right. In the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be, that's Christ. One king shall be king to them all, and they shall be no more two nations, neither shall it be divided into two kingdoms any more at all. Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols. See, this is when Christ come back. Nor their detestable things, nor any of their transgressions. I will save them out of all the dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and I will cleanse them. So he got to clean us. So they shall be my people, and I will be their God. Now you can read all, and it says David shall be king. You can read it all down. Verse 27, my tabernacle also shall be with them. Yea, I will be their God, and they shall be my people. And all the heathen, all other nations shall know that I, the Lord, do sanctify Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forevermore. Okay, we done went over a lot in a short amount of time. All right, so now, what we must do right now that you know who you are, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 10. This is what you must do. Your salvation depends on it. Because remember, you're still breaking God's commandments. Yeah, everybody sins. You sin every day. But you got to be therefore perfect. As your Father in heaven is perfect. You can do all things in Christ. Christ did not come away or didn't die on the cross for you to keep sinning. Once your slate was wiped clean, now you're supposed to be repented. Now you're supposed to be changed, born again, and not walking a whole different path. Not doing the same thing you've been doing before. Holy means set apart, separate. You got to be separated. Sanctified. All this stuff you did. But you can't be doing you can't be keeping these holidays like those, all this stuff the world does. Even the Satanists do it. The atheists do the same thing you're doing. Something wrong with that. All right, so this is what you got to do now. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 12. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 12. Everybody there. It says, God's great requirement. And now Israel, now that you know you Israel, what doth the Lord thy God require of thee? So now he's telling you, well, now this is what I require from you, now that you know who you are. But to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, It says all. Not some, not partly, all. Verse 13, to keep the commandments of the Lord. Now see, that's right there a problem. They don't want to keep the commandments, and that's why we're in this land today. That's why our people in this land today. But over here on slave ships. Why? Because we won't keep these commandments. You keep all the world's laws, but you can't keep God's commandments. Or I can't keep them all. Well, I can show you in the Bible that people did keep them. You think God's going to give you something that you can't keep. So now God is stupid. Really? Okay. Verse 13. To keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes, which I command thee this day, for thy good. If you want to know what's good, his commandments are good, just and holy. That's what scriptures say. And it says that they're not hard to do. I can pull all those scriptures. Okay? Now, last scripture. Man, I can go on and on. So the people that don't believe, you can look at some other lessons and you'll see that, yeah, we got to keep these commandments. And the faith of Hamashiach Yahushua, which the world calls Christ. I mean, Jesus. Revelation chapter 22. Last scripture. Last chapter in the whole Bible. Bible stands for best instruction before leaving earth. B-I-B-L-E. The best instruction before leaving earth. And I'm about to give you the best instruction right now. Revelation chapter 22, verse 14. It says, blessed, so you be blessed, are they that do his commandments. If you don't want to do them, blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life. See, that's salvation. You're going to have the right to it if you keep his commandments. It don't say you have the right to it if I just believe or I say a prayer. Do is an action word. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life and may enter into the gates into the city. That's New Jerusalem. All right. We done went over a whole lot in a short amount of time, and I could have expounded on a whole lot of this. Now, some might say, okay, well, how do I know all this? Where did I get all this from? Well, I was taught. All right? I was taught. Once I become into what we call the truth is knowing who you are as a person and knowing that you got to start keeping commandments. Okay, that is the truth. So you'll be what you call in the truth once your eyes are open and now you're doing what God said do. All right? So how did I get my teaching? Well, the Most High God led me to certain people, certain men, certain groups. Okay, I was with a group out of California called True Nation. And you will get thoroughly taught. You can look them up, truenation.org. Okay? And man, you get trained on a lot of this stuff. I mean, you won't believe, and it's not going to be hard because guess what? Once you start keeping the commandments, like I said, this book that you couldn't hardly understand, that thing opened up to you. Ask anybody that's in the truth. It opens up to you. You start understanding it like a mother. I said like a mother. That's just a little slang there. So I didn't really care about my people, but when the Most High opened my eyes up, everything changed. I'd never been doing this 5-6 years ago. I would have said, you crazy, you out of your mind. I'm doing what? Made a weak say I'm strong. See, you really will believe once you know the truth. You really will believe that Most High God is really with you and for you and about you. We stand boldly when we out in the street teaching His word. I'm talking about bold. I mean, I can't explain no more. I don't want to keep you guys no longer. I appreciate it. it's hard to explain a lot of this about this truth thing. But please share these videos. Please get to understanding. Do your own research. Don't trust nobody. Do your own research. Okay? But I love y'all. I know it was a little long than I wanted, but hey, I could have made it a whole lot longer than that. I hope you got some understanding on the topic. Pray about it. If you got to, do some fasting. Ask the Most High God to show you. Because guess what? I had to do it. I had to do that. When I first came into this truth, I knew what was going to happen. When Christ in Matthew talks about how, you're going to be hated of all men, and how you're going to have division in your household and all this family. Yeah, that stuff don't happen in Christianity. But when you really about this word, oh yeah. So I love you guys. Like I said, share my videos, press the like button. Pray for me too. I need prayers too. I mean, this stuff is a lot to do. I got to find time to do it, all that kind of stuff. And I got my own issues in my life that, the so-called Satan and the devil, he comes against me too. So I got some things I got to work through too. But pray for me, and keep watching my videos, share them. And saints, I appreciate it. Shalom. All right. Ooh-wee. Got to do it.